Hello. You know, I like to start off with saying, why do the Saudis want or need a nuclear power deal? They sit on the gas station of the world. The last thing they need is nuclear power. And promoting nuclear power, trying to further it into the future, it goes against their whole brand of selling oil. If you have nuclear power, you don't need oil. So it's kind of like Exxon selling electric cars. It doesn't make any sense. So I think it's all just a distraction, and that's why the stipulation of normalizing relationships with Israel, which they know is never going to happen. So the nuke deal is never going to happen between Saudi Arabia and the United States, and I don't think the Saudis want it or need it. And I don't know the exacts of why it happened in the first place, but other than to be a distraction, and it makes the president look very foolish. Uh, so, but anyway, back to recruiting videos and stuff, and you know, they have these places across the country that kids can go to, and they can play video games like War of the Worlds, or I don't know what the names of the video games are, but they're war games. God of War. I don't know what the names are. I don't want to even say them because I don't know them. Um, Fortnite, I think, is one of them. Anyhow, they go there and they play these video games on very high tech screens. They have the latest in video technology and stuff. And in the background, when they get there, they introduce them to Army recruiters, Marine recruiters, and stuff. And the recruiters let these kids play and play often. And I don't know if they charge them to play, but it's all a setup. It's all a scam because eventually the recruiters go to these kids and say, "Oh, you want to do this in real life? Join us, sign here, and you can do it in real life." And that's how they recruit new recruits. And they say, "Oh, we'll give you an education, we'll give you a future and stuff," and it's all a lie because the education is subpar. It's not really an education. They learn things in the military that aren't transferable to the private sector. So, if you learn how to fly an F-16 or whatever F they're flying today, some of them pilots go on to commercial airlines and stuff and things like that. But and I guess that's a bad example. But there are a lot of other underlying issues that they learn and the jobs that they do in the military that you can't do in the private sector. And once you leave that job, your skills are pretty much worthless, and you have no career. And that's why a lot of people stay in the military because they know they can't make any money if they leave, and they lose the benefits and all that stuff. So they stay until they get retirement for 20 years or better, and that's why they stay. But and it's all a scam. It's just a way to lock them in so that we have so many men on the armed forces, and they're not really volunteers at that point. They're captive. They're slaves. They're slaves to the system, and they're captured. They can't leave. They're in a box. Whatever it is they do, whatever job they do, they really can't leave. Uh, but I think our military is much weaker than we portray. We show you a picture of our aircraft carrier, and then we say we're the biggest, greatest military in the world. And it's like the David and Goliath story. We're the Goliath, and what happened to Goliath? Goliath died, and David became king. So, you know, you can't really say that Goliath is guaranteed to win because of his size. You know, an aircraft carrier is big and all, but it can be sunk. It can be sunk. It can be taken down. It can be bombed. Uh, it's not invincible, and you know, it's just they try to overpower you because when you see an aircraft carrier, they have a fleet of destroyers, battleships, all joined to one, you know, and so they really it's a deterrent more than anything, you know. It's like if you mess with this one, you got to deal with this one, and it's just a deterrent, and that works for a little while, but it doesn't work forever. I mean, it didn't deter the Japanese when they attacked in Pearl Harbor, and it didn't deter the Saudis when they did 9/11. Well, we did 9/11 using the Saudis, and you know, it's all BS to get money out of your pocket, so you don't complain when they spend billions and billions on defense. You know, and this war in Iran, I think is more of a recruiting video to kind of like for military spending, because right off the bat they're saying we don't have enough Tomahawks, we don't have enough Patriot missiles, we don't have all these things that we need to fight a war we don't have. So what's the president going to do? He's going to ask Congress for $1 trillion in weapons, you know, which goes where? To military contracts and military companies that build Tomahawks and Stingers and all that. And it's all about a jobs program, that's all. And it's a recruiting video for the jobs program, you know. And you know, it doesn't really work because Russia and China and Iran and all of them, they use a different system that doesn't care about our system. You know, our stealth bombers are not stealth to them. They can see us. We're not invisible like we think we are. And that's why you don't see us using them. The last PR thing they want is a stealth bomber taken down by a Russian missile. So, you know, it's just because it's all PR, it's all BS, and there is no stealth. But you buy it. You know, you don't question your government. You're a bunch of lemmings that jump off the cliff like everybody else. You know, and you wonder why you perish. And I don't, because I'm not jumping off like you. I'm not a lemming. I never have been and never will be. And you know, it's unfortunate. You know, I'll probably catch a lot of flack for my videos because I don't fall in line. I don't tote the company bullshit. I don't tote the company line. I don't care to get people to buy the running BS that's going on TV. You know, I speak against it. You know, and you know, most of you don't want to rock the boat or make any waves, and well, they talk about right now that they're doing service members killed in Jordan and Iraq by Iran, and you know, they wouldn't have been killed if you didn't elect Trump, period. And you know, so they're on Trump's head. They're not on the Iranians' head. I don't know, you know, we killed 100 and some odd little girls and their teachers with our missile strikes, and I think if they did that to me, I'd bomb every one of you. You know, but you know, they don't deserve to be blamed for what they're doing. You know, it's what we did to them. And yeah, they're the leading state of sponsor of terrorists, and that just means they don't fall in line with us. Anybody that doesn't fall in line with us is a terrorist. So, you know, it really doesn't. You can't really go by that word. You know, we're the terrorists. We did 9/11, so what are we? We're the terrorists. You know, so you know, we could have stopped 9/11. We could have stopped Pearl Harbor. we did nothing because we wanted to get into the war, and we knew that would be a way to get into the war. We knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen before it happened, and we did nothing to stop it because we wanted it. We wanted the invitation that it gave us. And so we're evil beyond evil, and we talk a lot of talk, but we don't do anything. And I think it's just crazy that people don't see it that way, because the news doesn't talk the way I'm talking now. The news talks like, oh, we're the victims of Pearl Harbor. We weren't victims. Or we're the victims of 9/11. We weren't victims. But I am thankful that they took out the Twin Towers because, the people that worked in the Twin Towers were pretty much evil beyond evil. I feel sorry for the firefighters that lost their lives in 9/11 because I don't believe the firefighters were evil, but the people that worked at Cantor Fitzgerald and all the companies that lost all their personnel, they might not have carried a gun or lit off a bomb, but they were robbing people of their money, and they're still doing it today. They're just doing it in a different building, so, the stock market is a rip-off. It's a complete shell game. It's a casino, it's a racetrack, it's whatever you want to call it, but it's a scam. The stock market's a scam. And they got all of you in on the scam because your 401k is in on the scam, which is your retirement. So you're invested, and that's what they wanted, and that's why they created 401ks, to get you invested into the market. So it would make it even more powerful and give them more power because they control the market. They make it go up and down when they want to. They made it, whatever numbers you're seeing, it's made to fit the narrative of what they want and whatever story they're pushing for the day, and it's just a big scam. And they tell you all the people that make millions and millions in the market, but they don't really talk a lot about the people that lost millions and millions in the market. There was a guy who was a multi-billionaire, and he's worth maybe $10 million now or something. He lost all of it in the market, made some bad choices, I guess. But I would assume that they didn't like him, so they made moves to make him lose his money. Because they don't like you, they take care of you, which means they make you broke. And if they do like you, if you play the game and you kiss their asses, they'll make you rich. And that's how the game works. That's why people, the billionaires, the millionaires, are very worried about image. They have to be liked. Their image has to be liked. Like Kanye West. He's not liked, and he lost all his money. And you can't be not liked and be rich at the same time, because being liked is the reward of being rich. And you have to play the game like everybody else. And people that are liked have an easier time. And I'm not trying to be liked. I don't really care if you like me or not. I don't live my life like it's a political campaign. You don't get to vote for me. You don't get to vote against me. You just have to deal with me because I'm not going away. And I will speak the truth forever, regardless of anything they ever try to do to me. They'll never stop me from speaking the truth. And I just hope people listen and understand that the truth is more important than anything, and it's the hardest thing to say.